Hey guys, what's up? It's me again. This time we're actually going to do a themed video because I told you I would do that. And this one's going to be about how to set up your baby leopard geckos and how to raise them efficiently and properly. I'm going to go through and basically show you how I set up the babies. Then we're going to go to the next step of a little bit bigger, and then again a little bit bigger of an animal as well. I'm going to show you all the stuff that I use. Hopefully I don't forget anything. If I do, sorry, and make a comment that I forgot something. But without further ado, let's just do this and show you what I do on a normal basis here. Alright, first off, we got to go to the incubator and grab out some babies so that we can actually put them away. I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head real quick. So it might be a little bit of a bumpy ride for a second. Okay. Hopefully that's pretty much on there. Alright, had a couple babies hatch out, so what we're going to do is grab the babies out of the incubator, and we'll take them to the table so that you guys can see them and see what we're doing here. Alright, first off, you need clean tubs to start off with. That's kind of a no-brainer. And then what you're going to do is you have your babies that need to be put away, and basically I like doing 3 tubs at a time, just because that's how many fit in my rack in one shelf. So what I do is basically do a three at a time type of deal. Basically my tubs are 6-quart tubs, and the smaller babies have smaller holes drilled into the tubs. As they get a little bit bigger, I switch the tubs, because I only have probably about half of my tubs are with the holes the whole way around, that they're smaller, and then my other tubs have bigger holes and they're just in the front. So I basically have to, once they get to a certain size, I put them in the other tubs so that I have more baby tubs available. But anyway, that's just one of those things that I do here, just because I don't feel like drilling a million more holes into a million more tubs. So I just kind of work with what I got. So basically these are 6-quart tubs. They are iris tubs that I got from the Container Store. If you just go to thecontainerstore.com, that's the size tubs that these are. I like these tubs because they have a smooth bottom the whole way around. There's no grooves or anything like that, like the Rubbermaid or the Sterilite. So that's why I like using these tubs. It's a perfectly flat surface. And the other great thing about them is the Select-A-Size paper towels fit in them perfectly. If you can see it's a perfect fit, and that is what we're going for. There used to be a time whenever I used to fold the paper towel twice and lay it in like this. But I don't typically do that anymore, just because one, it takes a little bit more time to fold the paper towel, and the other thing is, I've noticed by using the paper towel, the whole bottom, it's much easier and faster to clean the tubs. There's less time vacuuming the tubs. Whenever I have to do a total rehaul of the tub, it's much easier to sterilize and clean the tub once the animal is gone as well. Whenever you put the paper towel like this, what it does is it definitely provides moisture for a longer period of time, but the drawback is they usually poop right onto the plastic itself. Whenever they poop on the plastic itself, it is harder to clean, and it definitely takes a little bit longer, and the poop can kind of build up in the tub. So for a couple different reasons, I've been doing this for a couple years now, but since the last time I made a baby video, you saw the paper towel getting folded like that. So basically all you got to do is, these tubs are wet. I just cleaned them to get them ready for to put babies into them. But basically you just put the Select-A-Size paper towels in there. You get your sprayer, which it's just a plant sprayer. It's nothing too crazy. I think this is a gallon size. And basically what you do is just spray it. You basically just want to get the paper towel damp. You don't want it sopping wet. You basically want it to the point where there's no water coming out if you turn it upside down. You just want it enough to basically dampen the paper towel, and that's usually all they need. The next step is the hides. These hides right here are Gen Pack 2s. You can get these online if you go to any restaurant supply chain store or anything like that. Hopefully you can see the Gen Pack 2 on there. And they basically, they fit perfectly into the containers. That's what you want. You want a hide that fits perfectly into the container, so that there's not a lot of room in there where it can shift around and all that fun stuff. So basically what we're going to do is cut holes in them. I like using scissors just so that they're more perfect. I don't like doing the whole just rip it because it just looks kind of cheesy to me. So I try to make them as perfect as possible just because I'm kind of a perfectionist weirdo like that. So basically what you have is this. You got basically a hide that has a little notch cut in it so that the animals can get in and out. Whenever you put this over the moist paper towel, the heat basically is going to be in a line right about here. So you want to place the hide over the heat, because what will happen is all the moisture that is underneath this will actually evaporate and collect on the top of the styrofoam. What this does is gives them a place to drink off of, and it's a little bit more effective as far as keeping the humidity inside the container. The next thing that you need is your food dishes. I have a bunch of different styles of food dishes that I'll show you a couple of them right here real quick, and I use different ones for different things here. As you've seen in my videos and stuff like that, these ones are the ones that I use for the adults or bigger juveniles that I'm growing up. These ones are basically a ceramic dish that's pretty heavy, and they are glazed on the inside. These are 4 1/4 food dishes, and you can put quite a bit of mealworms in these, and they don't crawl out of these ones. These are what I use for my bigger babies and my adults. As you can see, they're all around the room. I don't think that they make these anymore. I actually want to call the company and see if they still do make them, but the place where I was getting them at, which is a big hardware store that everybody knows called Lowe's, these were for sale there probably about 5 years ago. Since then, I haven't really seen them. I pretty much bought all of them whenever I saw them at those places. They come from a place called New England Pottery. It's out of, I believe, Boston, Massachusetts. I don't know if they still make them or if you're able to still get them. What I would like to do is actually call the company, see if I can order like 2,000 of them and actually start selling them as, the best mealworm food dish, because that's what they are. The next type of food dish that I use is basically the same exact thing. These ones are old, that's why they're kind of like, they've got like watermarks and stuff like that on them, just from, the like minute cracks and stuff. This is what they look like whenever they're brand new. But these ones are basically the same exact thing. They're ceramic, they're glazed on the inside. These ones are probably, I would say, 3-inch food dishes. These ones I use typically for babies or smaller animals, so that the mealworms don't crawl out as well. And that's actually what I'm going to use for these guys. Whenever I run out of all the glazed ones, which usually doesn't happen too often, I have 3 other types that I use. These are just plastic ones that you can get anywhere. These ones, if you look, they have ridges on them. The mealworms can crawl out of these ones a little bit. So these are just for newborn babies, typically, that if the mealworms crawl out, it actually is a little bit helpful, because then the babies will, see them crawling around the cage a little bit, and then they go after them. These are what I use if they haven't really figured out where the food dish is, because this will allow some of them to stay in, some of them to crawl out, and then whenever they crawl out, the babies get them and then, you know, attack them as needed. These ones are okay as well. They kind of have like a curved lip to them. It's a little bit harder for the leopard geckos because sometimes they'll get underneath here and not really try to get into the dish. So I don't typically use these ones as much either, but the good part about these ones is the mealworms do stay in these ones as well. And then finally, there's these ones that have more of a straight up surface as well, that are plastic, easily washable. Basically what I do is, with the dirty dishes, I basically soak them in bleach water for about 2 days, and then scrub them all, rinse them all off real good, and then they're ready to go again. But that's the different styles of dishes that I have. They do sell commercial dishes that have like they're a plastic, kind of like a deli cup, and what they do is they basically have another like top that you put on them so that the mealworms can't crawl out of them. I've tried them, but you know, I just don't really like them. I like the ceramic because of the weight, because it helps to keep the hide down, so that they're not throwing stuff everywhere, basically. All right, so once you have the babies, you know, areas set up, which you don't have to feed them for the first probably about 5 days or so. I'm going to actually go through and put food in these ones, though, just so that you can actually see how I, you know, do that and everything and how much I put in. Basically, it's just a pinch. For newborn babies, they're not going to eat a lot right away. There's probably about, I would say, 15 to 20 mealworms in this little scoop. Maybe a little bit less, probably about 15 though. And basically just put a little bit in each one. You don't want to put too many of them in because, again, they're just babies. They're not going to eat that much, and you don't want the mealworms dying in here or, you know, them wasting them. You basically want the amount of mealworms in there that they can comfortably eat in about 2 to 3 days, because with the babies, I typically go through and clean those guys and service them every 3 to 4 days. So what that does is basically they have food for 2 to 3 days, and then that last day it's kind of like just a digestion day, and gets them ready to basically get a little bit more hungry, so that once I do put the mealworms in, they go after them right away. I believe that it's good to have a strong feeding response with your animals. So I basically let them run out of food and then feed them. You don't want to have, you know, food available to them all the time, especially mealworms, because you're basically just going to make them a little bit lazy. If they have food available all the time, I think that a lot of them get, you know, fat, they get lazy, and, you know, they don't have a strong feeding response. I like to have my animals with a strong feeding response, so that way whenever they do go to their new homes, they are ready to go. And I mean, I've had a lot of people say that as soon as they get their animals, they've tried to feed them and they eat right away, and that's even after shipping and all that stuff. So I like to keep them that way so that you know, they're good to go. The next thing that you want to put in there is your vitamin and calcium powder. Basically, just put a little bit of vitamin powder in there and calcium powder. A lot of people ask me what vitamin powder and calcium powder I use. The calcium powder is Osteoform SA. It comes in a 350 gram container, which is this stuff right here. What I do is I mix one of these containers with a 10-pound batch of Vionate, which this is the 10-pound Vionate. I love both of these things. I will never switch to anything different, just because I've had such great success with it over the past 6-7 years. Basically, what it is then is you got your mealworms and your vitamin powder in there, and actually, if you look closely, you'll see like a lot of these mealworms are actually eating the vitamin powder. So basically, what it does is it helps to gut load the mealworms, so that they have some of that vitamin powder in them. And also, it'll cover the mealworms a little bit. It doesn't get them sticky like the calcium powder, which, you know, if you put too much calcium powder in here as well, it'll kill the mealworms just because they're kind of covered in that calcium powder, and then they, you know, they just don't do well. So that's why you don't want to put too much calcium powder in there. And you have basically, this is your setup that you're going to use. Alright, now we're going to put some of the babies away. Handling for babies is different than handling for, you know, the bigger animals as well. What you want to do with babies, especially brand new ones, is kind of get them pretty close to the tub so that if they, you know, if they jump out, they're not going to, you know, scramble all over the place. This is actually a Typhoon right here, which I'll get a little bit closer. This is a Typhoon, which a Typhoon is just a rainwater eclipse. This one is actually also het for patternless, Murphy's patternless that is, and this is actually a Super Typhoon, which the Super Typhoons are basically a super snow rainwater eclipse. Another little white animal with, you know, dark red eyes instead of red eyes. And basically, you just set them in there, and probably right away most of them will start licking at the water, because usually they're pretty thirsty once they first hatch. See if you can see this guy licking down there. See his little tongue going. And, you know, that's it. That's what you do. You just put them away. There's still some eggs in here to hatch. Here are the 2 eggshells from where they hatched out of. I'll just set those aside because I keep them. And I still have 4 more eggs to hatch out of this one. So we'll have to put that one back in the incubator. Alright. This next group is some of my Black Pearl Project stuff. As you can see, I've got 2 babies in here that are decently dark. This one's definitely darker than most. Very, very cool. And as you can see, just want to be real gentle with the babies, because they can get a little bit skittish. You can see that this one's not quite really dark. It definitely looks, you know, a little bit different than a normal, but it's still not, you know, a black pearl charcoal cross. It's not what we're looking for with the darker ones. This one's a little bit dark. We're going to see how that one develops as it ages a little bit. It might get a little bit darker, it might get a little bit lighter, and then if it's up to the standards that I want to keep the project at, I'll keep it. If not, it'll go to a new home. Put that little guy in there. And then this is out of that little, you know, weird cross that I did. This is actually an Enigma, and it looks like a black hole as well. So this is a black hole that is basically from the Black Pearl charcoal line. As you can see, it is a little bit darker. It's not crazy dark, but it's definitely, you know, noticeably different. So we're going to hold on to this one just to see, you know, how this one develops as well. And what I'm going to do is just put 3 babies in this tub. 3 babies is okay. It's not going to, you know, affect them at this size. Basically, what I like to do is keep clutch mates together, though, so it's usually about 2 per tub. Sometimes I'll put 3 per tub, depending on, you know, how many babies had hatched out at the time and all that stuff. But this is basically, you know, what your setup is for the babies. They should start eating in about, you know, 5 to 7 days. Sometimes a little bit less. They'll start eating at like 2 or 3 days. It's basically after their first shed is whenever they start eating for the first time. So we're going to put these guys away. And then what we're going to do is come over here and grab another set. I actually forgot to label those guys. That's a very important thing too, is labeling. I'll label those once I get done with the video. Alright. Next step is babies that are probably about a month old. That's probably what these guys are right here. These guys I'll go through and tell you what they are after I'm done cleaning them out. But as you can see, all their mealworms are gone. That's always a good sign. That means that they're definitely eating. And basically there's just, you know, like shed mealworm skin in here and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do with, you know, this leftover stuff is just toss it away. You know, same thing with this one. Because we want to start with basically a fresh slate every single time. As you can see, the hide's still in good shape. This one had a little bit of, mealworm dust on it. And same thing with this one. So just knock it off. Alright, as you can see, they have poop in there. This video is about taking care of babies. You are going to clean poop. I did not go through and make sure that these guys were, there was no poops in their cages. This is good poop right here. You want solid nuggets. If it's runny or anything like that, you need to take a look at what's going on with your animals. This is what you want, these solid nuggets. Alright, as you can see, there's, poop had fallen off of the paper towels. So now what we got to do is basically vacuum out the remaining debris that's in these containers. With the vacuum, you got to be very, 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 very careful that you don't suck them up. If you are not used to doing this, take the geckos out and put them into a different container. I can't stress that enough. Sucking up a baby in the vacuum, it might not kill it, but it will definitely stress it out a little bit. If you can imagine getting sucked up in a giant vacuum, it's probably not, going to be the most fun thing that you're going to do that day. So definitely be very, very careful what you are doing. I do this, multiple times. I've probably done this thousands of times in my life. So you want to just be very, very careful and know your animals. Some of them are going to be more rambunctious and flying around the cage. You really got to be careful whenever you're doing this. I can't stress that enough. It's a powerful vacuum and it will suck them up. So you definitely have got to be careful with this. And if you're not accustomed to doing this, do not do this. This is, one of the things that I do, and it's, some people might, consider it, bad husbandry or whatever. This is what I do, and it's what I've been doing for years. So, this is what I do. So what you want to do is basically kind of cup them like that so that you can kind of move them around. You don't have to pick them up or anything like that. So I probably won't talk while I'm doing this because you won't be able to hear it. So here we go. Okay, and just like that, it's that simple. As you could see, what I was doing is I'll cup them to one side, clean one side. Usually after I clean that side and let them out, they'll usually crawl over to the other side, and then you can just kind of nudge them over a little bit, clean out the other side, and vice versa. Okay, so that's basically getting the cage back to, zero. Then what you want to do, and as you can see, there's 2 babies per tub. These guys are almost getting to the point where I'll separate them out, but as of right now, I'm not going to, just for time of the video and stuff like that. And then basically what you want to do is put your paper towels in, and at the same time, you got to be watching where all 6 of these guys are at the same time. As I said before, I do this a lot, so it's one of those things where I kind of keep an eye on everybody, knowing where they're at all times. Basically, you just put the paper towel back in, and then what you want to do is just spray it. As you can see, some of them don't like it, some of them don't care. They will scream a little bit, but that's no big deal. And as you can see, by this guy right here, he's already drinking. So it's, fresh water, they're drinking right away, and that's, actually all of them are going to be drinking, because what I do is I do these guys like I said, every 3 to 4 days. These guys were on the 4th day. That's why you saw a little bit more poops to them, just because it's been, crazy busy week. But as you can see, they're all drinking. What I'll do is actually show you some of these guys. I'll actually take the head cam off here. Again, this is a black hole that came from the, the black pearl charcoal cross stuff. Very, very cool looking. You can see the head pattern has a little bit of like rosetted stuff to it. Still, it's not super, super dark, but I don't think an Enigma would be very dark from that stuff, just because the Enigmas tend to lighten up a little bit. This is a Max Snow Bell white and yellow that is het for radar. Very, very cool looking, very pastelish, very purple as well. As you can see, he's licking our way. He's a thirsty little guy. Very cool pattern to him. This is a radar, actually. It's just a banded one. Just has a little bit of pigmentation in the eyes, nothing too crazy. This is his sibling, which is actually a radar white and yellow Max Snow Enigma. It's one of the craziest combinations that I've actually put together this year. It was kind of just a, shot in the dark to actually get this animal. He is in shed right now. That's why he's a little, ghostly in appearance. The coloration on this guy is actually very, very cool. I'll actually have to take some pictures of this guy and put them up for you on my website so that you guys can see him. But still, very, very cool animal. These two right here are actually from my rainwater line stuff. They're both Murphy's patternless. They're both white and yellows, and they are both eclipses. And then, of course, this guy is a rainwater. The other one's just a het rainwater. So these guys are very, very cool as well. The white and yellow with the Murphy's patternless doesn't really do too much, and once they get a little bit bigger, it looks like you can't really tell that they are white and yellows. As babies, though, they were very, very different. They had the white and yellow kind of like high sides on them, a little bit of a yellowish stripe going down their back. So they were very, very cool. As you can see, everybody's drinking away. But we're going to go back to putting these guys away because we're already at 27 minutes. So we got to get moving here because it's going to definitely take a little while from, you guys to watch this video. Alright. And then basically whenever you're putting the hides back, you just want to make sure that the hide's not, pressing down on anybody or anything like that. And then these guys are going to get a little bit more mealworms because of, they're a little bit bigger. So it's probably like, 50 to 60 mealworms, I would say. And they'll easily eat all of these in about 2 to 3 days, like I said. So if they're not eating that much in 2 to 3 days, definitely check your heat. Make sure that they're warm enough, and make sure that they're, everything is perfect in their container. And that's it, they're done. Usually I do that much quicker, but since, I'm talking, it's definitely taken a little bit longer than it should have. So we'll put these guys back up. And we'll go over to some bigger ones over here. Let's go with these ones. These guys were actually done 2 days ago, but I want to show you how, like, the the single ones are set up here, and show you a couple cool different morphs. As you can see, underneath the paper towel is still a little bit damp. This guy likes to crap on his hide there, so you're not going to see any poop really in here. But this guy's got, 2 poops, this one's got 3 poops, that one has 3 poops. That's pretty typical for about 3 days. Well, actually 2 days. This is 2 days, because these guys were just done. So basically, all I have to do is pull that paper towel out, pull that paper towel out, and I'll pull this paper towel out too, even though he didn't poop on it. And actually, I'll just vacuum these out real quick to get any loose debris out of here. Okay, and again, back to square one here. And then we're just going to put their paper towels in there. And that's good to go. Alright, then, these ones I can put back in there right away. This one has the poop on the top, so what I'll do is actually scrape that off. You don't have to sanitize every single time you do it. Basically, once this gets a little bit more destroyed, I'll throw this away and give them a brand new one. And that's that right there is perfectly acceptable. It's not going to hurt the animal. You know, it's clean. It's to the point where, you know, it's not filthy. You know, these ones definitely look a lot better, but you don't have to throw it away every single time. The next step that I want to talk to you a little bit about is handling as well. Some people have commented on me handling the leopard geckos by the tail and stuff like that. My leopard geckos, and pretty much any leopard gecko, once they get to about, you know, this size, 20, 30 grams, it is okay to gently pick them up by their tail. This is not something that you know, grab them really hard and basically kind of whip them around and stuff like that. That is definitely not acceptable. Basically, what I do as far as, you know, moving them very, very quickly, sometimes whenever you grab them kind of like this, they get more scared because you're kind of putting pressure on the ribs and stuff like that. Leopard geckos do not want to drop their tails. They do it as a last resort, only if their life feels threatened. Especially if they are, you know, if they're being, you know, moved by their tails quite a bit, they do actually get very, very used to it. Anytime that I'm picking them up by the tail, they are definitely not high up in the air. You don't want to, you know, have them, you know, 6 feet in the air where, you know, they might get scared. Basically, what I do a lot of times, and if you'll notice in the videos, I do this. You just pick them up gently by the tail, and then you put your hand underneath them. That's the best way to pick them up, just because they don't feel threatened by you grabbing them around the side. You see how he didn't struggle or anything like that? If you go like this, sometimes they will, you know, see how he's trying to get away a little bit more. They don't like it as much whenever you grab them by the sides, especially if you're not used to doing it. You got to be very, very, very gentle. Basically, act like it's a sponge that's filled with water, and you want to pick it up without losing a drop of water. That's how gently you want to touch these things. It's very, very easy for people that they, you know, have never messed with them before to grab them very, very hard and basically crush them. Or scare them by, you know, grabbing the tail. As you can see, a lot of my animals are very, very friendly. They don't mind being handled at all. If I was, you know, in any way abusing them at all, they would definitely not, you know, appreciate being handled. You know, the animals are very, very well taken care of here. And, you know, sometimes whenever I'm, you know, moving very, very quickly with them, you know, they get used to that. So it's one of those things where as long as you know what you're doing with the handling, it is not a big deal to pick them up by the tail. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. You know, a lot of people that do this, you know, on a even smaller scales will pick them up by their tails and stuff like that. And again, you don't want them way up here dangling and stuff like that. That's going to scare the shit out of them. You basically just want to, you know, up a little bit and then gently set them back down. It basically is like whenever a mother cat picks them up by a baby cat by the nape of the neck. That's basically what it is. It kind of, you know, signals them to kind of relax a little bit and just be very, very, you know, very calm. The other thing too, you know, some of them don't like it. I've got a couple animals that I know which ones they are, that they don't appreciate being picked up at all. Those are the ones that you got to be very, very careful with, because if you do try to pick them up by their tail, I mean, they're just going to wiggle all around and they might drop their tail. As you can see, most of my animals still have all their tails. The only ones that don't are, you know, from breeding, that, you know, the male will grab the female by the tail and she'll kind of, you know, drop her tail. Those are the only ones that don't have full tails, is by, you know, other leopard geckos, you know, kind of either nipping at them or whatever during